they were afraid. And they were afraid. Now watch this. As long as the man was acting a fool, long as he was cutting himself, long as he was screaming, making all kind of noise, long as he was crazy, long as he was calling women bees and hoes, long as he was doing that which was self-destructive, the people were okay. The moment he's seated at the feet of Jesus, dressed right, he ain't sagging no more. In his right mind, says they got scared. There is nothing, brothers, this nation fears more than a man who is clothed in his right mind and hooked up with Jesus. This brother said, well, what had happened was, for God so loved that he gave his only begotten son. Come on, you flat son. And whoso believes in him shall not perish, but will have everlasting life. I can hear this brother saying, what had happened was, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things become new. I can hear him saying what had happened was, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. What had happened was, cast your cares upon the Lord, for he cares for you. What had happened was, ain't nobody do me like Jesus. Lean on somebody and say, can't nobody do me like the Lord. Bless his name. I need you to know that God is able to deliver you. God is able to lift you up. God is able to bring you out. God is able to make a way out of no way. And so in our text, in the book of Genesis, the Lord calls down from glory because Adam and Eve were hiding because they had disobeyed God. And the Lord says, Adam, where are you? Bless his name. He says, I was hiding. You're hiding because I was naked. Who told you you were naked? Bless his name. And then too many brothers that have been hiding on the corners Lodabar. Your work's not done just because you made it to the palace. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. But you have a responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you made your way across. Thank you, Jesus. Reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. That's the name of the Lord. Somebody got to tell themselves, it's all right if you got it now. Just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You got to make up in your mind that God has for me. It is for me. I might not have it right now. May not get it next week. You might try to stop me from being it. But if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. You got to take away from your house and depend on El Shaddai. Come on in here. Thank you, Jesus. Our young people are dying. 97 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan the second. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the American experience. Words own vitality. They shape their own content, create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Spoken Word. I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour. And I want to thank Mr. Jim Malachias, our remote director, for getting us on the air live with you today. 413-337-1867 is the number that's going to connect us together. Looking forward to interacting with you today. The big news over the past few days is the passage of the Senate of the COVID relief package, and it now is headed back to the House of Representatives to see if they will approve the Senate version, which they likely will by tomorrow. So we're going to talk a little bit about stimulus, COVID relief, what that actually means for Black people. Because I'm one who is of the opinion that we deserve more than a stimulus check.
given all of the disparities that we had to face in America, that's the least that they can do for our community, because we go through a COVID type economic strain on a consistent basis anyway, just as Black people. I mean, that's just the reality of what we deal with. And so America has finally kind of got a glimpse into Black life all the time. So we'll talk about that. It's also International Women's Day. So at about 9:45 or so, the First Lady will be coming on, and we'll be talking about that, International Women's Day. And, you know, we're just kind of be an off-the-cuff kind of deal. It could get a little dicey, y'all, because, you know, she be all passionate when talking about women's stuff. And so tighten up your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Rep your city, rep your town. If you're streaming with us, welcome to those that are streaming from the various platforms. I'd love to know where you're chiming into the program from. So rep your city, rep your town. Tell somebody the Bishop is on the air. Like, share, subscribe, do all of that kind of stuff, so that your friends and everybody can get involved in what we're talking about on this morning. Don't you dare go nowhere. We'll be right back.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful Black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from and hidden, but it just made me stronger, and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me, he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. That strong, beautiful Black woman, that woman is me.
A positive attitude says everything about you. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Every day you get up, you've been given a gift. That's why they call it the present. And it's up to you how you unwrap it. So yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift. So don't let the pain of your past bleed into your present and poison your future. Stop replaying the movie. Why did this happen to me? When it's done with you, be done with it. If it seems like you keep running into pigeons, it's an indication that you're flying too low. So set yourself a little higher. Remember, eagles fly by themselves. If you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. impossible. Allow your challenges to be a stepping stone to propel you into new possibilities. So be discontent with your past accomplishment. You're only as great as your last success. So maintain your hunger and your passion. Remember this, within every seed there is a tree, and every tree there is a forest. And what you were born into is simply the environment to prepare you for your ultimate purpose. It was not a setback, it was a setup. Your purpose and potential is bigger than your past pain or problem.
That gave to you. Listen to your heart, don't let your mind fool you. Remember the talk that gave to you. Whatever you do is gonna surely come back to you.
Successful people will do things they hate to get the things they love. Much of life is about sacrifice. You gotta give up something to get something. Success is not about what you've accomplished, but it's what you have overcome. For it's the test that you pass in life which qualifies you for the next level. You have to be willing to face your challenges and overcome them. Most people drive 12,000 miles a year forward, but most accidents are caused when they move backwards. You gotta stay focused on what's ahead of you instead of what's behind you. It's your daily routine that determines your success or failure. Whatever you practice at is what you become great at. What's more important than being intelligent is having the right attitude. Respect costs you nothing, but it will cost you everything not to have it. So don't be too smart for your own good. Remember, a hard head makes a soft behind. What's more important than your 5 senses is common sense. The heart of a fool is in his mouth, but the heart of a wise man is in his character. So don't sweat the small things. The answer for a short temper is a long walk. Be slow to speak, quick to listen, and remember this: you gotta live long enough to know everything. Your character is what matters most.
Yeah. Your character is what matters most. You ain't enough to know everything. That's Ferris Hill, Daddy Talk. A lot of good stuff in that song and that spoken word piece. That's why I love it, and that's why I play it as often as I do. 413-337-1867. Let me get that up on the screen. Listen, some exciting things are coming up. Later this week, we'll be making the announcement about the 11th annual, all right, Live Every Voice lecture series. I know y'all thought we weren't going to be having it because February has come and gone, etc. But we plugged away in this virtual world, and we're going to be bringing the Lift Every Voice lecture series to you across the scope of March, April, and May, 3 months of various lectures that will convene across the scope of the next 3 months. Some powerful, internationally known speakers that will be on point. Some great talent. I'm telling you, some great talent that is going to be part of our celebration this year. And at first we were thinking that in this virtual environment that it probably wouldn't happen because that's really something that we normally do in person. And so we figured we'd adapt it, like we've had to adapt everything over the last year to fit into a virtual environment. And so the lecture series is no different. So it's coming back to you guys. I just want y'all to just be patient. By the end of the week, as I stated, we'll be making the announcement about who is going to be our speakers. And once again, we want to thank our very consistent backers and supporters, particularly Bay State Health, who has been with us. Oh man, just I mean, just consistently for the last 11 years, all 11 years that we've had it, they were the initial sole sponsor in our first year, and they just have consistently been there for us. They've been there for us, and we appreciate it. Davis Foundation. We just thank our sponsors who consistently support this effort and allow us to bring it directly to you. So keep your ear out for that announcement. Now, listen, there's an auction happening. Okay, the Springfield Black Lives Matter Mural Committee, in collaboration with the artists, they're proud to offer 11 art pieces for purchase. They were created on September 12th, 2020, during the painting of the Black Lives Matter mural that is in front of City Hall. Each piece captures a moment in the movement for racial justice in Springfield and beyond. You get to own your own piece of this historic day, this day of art, this day of activism in our city. Now, listen, the proceeds from this auction will benefit the artists, gun violence elimination efforts in our city, and maintenance of the Black Lives Matter mural and future murals. So it's going to a good cause. It's an auction. So you need to go to check this website out. Okay. You get to place your bids right online. All right. You go to www.32auctions.com. Right. www.32auctions.com. Somebody put that in the comments for me. 32auctions.com /BLM 2021. Let me give that to you one more again. All right. It is 32auctions.com /BLM 2021. One more time. 32auctions.com /BLM 2021. The auction ends this Saturday at 11 p.m. So anytime between now and Saturday, you go on there, you see a piece of art that you like, you want, go on and place your bid. You know, only thing that can happen, somebody can outbid and you go back and outbid them. All right. So support the local artists, support the Black Lives Matter mural project, support various movements here in the city of Springfield, affectionately known as the Field. So let's kick it off. Now, the stimulus package plan passed, even though they campaigned $2,000 checks. I don't care what none of y'all say. They campaigned on $2,000 checks. You know, they said, if you give us Georgia, we're going to send you $2,000 checks. Nobody said $1,400 checks added to the $600 check that Trump and them sent until after. You know, that just concede that, you know, they flipped the script, they changed, they waffled, whatever. Here, let me say this. To those of you who are diehard Democrats are not of criticism. And criticizing Democrats don't mean you support Republicans. Okay? This notion that you're supposed to just don't say nothing critical is as bad as being a Trumper who just co-signed any and everything Trump did. Some of y'all are just as bad. You know, as soon as you criticize Biden or anything the Democrats do is, oh, you're an undercover Trump supporter. That's so ridiculous. You know, reality is nobody is above criticism. And they flip-flopped on it. They him-hawed on it. That's what they did. You know, I have so many people coming at me because I made that criticism about changing it from 2,000 to 1,400. No, it was always 1,400. It's 1,400 plus the 600. Come on, let's just keep it a buck. Who campaigns on $2,000 and says, oh, but it includes the $600 the other guy gave you, my opponent? Stop it. Just stop it. Just cut it out. I get it. That is politics, and you got to negotiate, and you had to come to a lower figure in order to get it passed. Just say that. Don't try to make excuses. Biden did not say, I'm gonna give you 1,400, add it to the 600 Trump gave you, and it'll be 2,000. He campaigned on 2,000. We have video footage where over and over and over and over and over incessantly he says it. John Ossoff says it. Raphael Warnock says it. Nancy Pelosi says it. Chuck Schumer says it. All of them. $2,000, $2,000, $2,000, $2,000, $2,000, $2,000. Stop it. Stop. Just stop saying it was always 1,400. It was not. Okay. Okay. Just stop. They promised 2,000. They didn't make good on that promise. Period. Now, if you're happy with the 1,400 or whatever else is in the package, that's cool. But don't try. Let's not do the same thing that the Trumpers did for 4 years. Basically, what Trump could do or say anything. It could be caught on video the whole nine. And then the next day he could say, I didn't do that. And all of his followers, even though we got it on film, they would say, no, he didn't do that. He never said, very fine people on both sides. Run the clip. He still didn't say it. But I just ran the clip, and you heard him say it in the video clip. No, he didn't say it. That's not really what he said. We dealt with that foolishness for 4 years. Don't y'all start the same foolishness. He never said $2,000. Run the clip. No, that's not what he meant. You're no better than they are when you do the same thing. Okay? So some things we just need to concede. All right? 413-337-1867. The reality is this. The only way for America to move forward as a stronger nation is the Congress, has to act on financial measures that ensure that poor and working class families have the financial means to prosper. And while a stimulus package is good to give a shot in the arm to an ailing economy, we need a permanent stimulus package, not a temporary one that's really a Band-Aid approach to America's financial problems. Chief among them is the significant wealth gap that exists between black folks and white folks. And America is not trying to do anything to address that problem. And I know, people say, well, Bishop, you know what? I know the $1,400 ain't much, but I can use it right now. I'm going to take it. I get it. I understand. I understand that. Do you? But let's just be real. One single $1,400 check, even added to the $1,200, even added to the $600, doesn't cut it for poor people. You can't pay your bills, and you can't get out of this stump with a $1,400 check. I mean, the $1,400 payments that are included, in the bill is really, it's an insignificant slap in the face. And yeah, take it. But I mean, it's a slap in the face. That's not a salary for anybody who's their jobs. I mean, the money that the government is given is pocket change. Poor people don't need a one-time check or a two-time check or a three-time check. 3 checks, totaling $3,000 over a year-long pandemic in which people have lost their jobs and their economic footing, it doesn't bring them up to the next rung on the ladder. I mean, who could survive off of $3,000 over 12 months? I mean, it's like the people in Congress who were holding up the potential for the stimulus bill over the dip of $100 in unemployment benefits. They thought $400 a month was too much money for the American people. I want y'all to just think about that for a minute. Think about that. Something's happening here on the gram. I don't know what's happening with my gram, but we're gonna have to fix that. I mean, think about that for a minute. Who in their right minds thinks that $400 a week for unemployed people is too much money? What kind of sick mind is it that literally comes to that conclusion to say that providing $400 a week to people who have worked, have paid their taxes, have been productive members of society is too much? And here's my thing to them. My thing to them is it's simple. I want you to try to live 1 month, not a whole year. I want all of these legislators who thought that $400 a month, including some Democrats, was too much money. I just want them to try to live 1 month off of $400. I really want to know what $400 pays for, or $400 a week. What it pays for. That's about $1,600 a month. Many of you, that doesn't pay your rent or your mortgage. And we literally have people in Congress that would not pass, Democrats included, this bill if you didn't reduce that 400 down to 300. I mean, just think about this. And to me, and I get it, the overall ticket, $1.9 trillion is a lot. But when you consider what actually hits the homes of the American people, a $1,400 check, what does that buy for you? I'm curious. What does $1,400 buy for you? I mean, it gets us 1 month's mortgage. In our house, that's what it does. It helps to pay 1 month's mortgage. Okay, it might pay your car note and some groceries. Maybe fill your oil tank one time and help pay the college tuition bill for the semester. Part of it, not even much of it. And I know this. I know this because I've got a son who's a junior in college. And even after all of the aid and grants and support he gets, we still have to come thousands out of pocket. So what does $1,400 really pay for? And here's the reality for some of y'all. Now, this ain't all of y'all. I'm gonna hit home with my black people. All right? Can I keep it a buck? If I can keep it a buck, somebody type in the comments, keep it a buck. Because I'm not gonna go here. I see Springfield, Missouri in the house. Somebody said 1 month rent, mortgage and insurance. I'm gonna turn this corner right here for a minute. If somebody puts it in the comment and says, Bishop, keep it a buck, I'm gonna turn this corner, and I'm gonna say something that needs to be said. If y'all just tell me to keep it a buck. If I don't see keep it a buck in the comments, I'm gonna move on and keep on talking about my subject matter. All right. But I think some of y'all need to hear what I want to say. All right, there. Somebody told me to keep it. Okay. So this true story. Okay. True story. So when the first stimulus came out, right, I wasn't paying no attention. You know, I wasn't paying no attention to what was going on. And during that time, the wife and I were trying to adjust to COVID life, to, you know, sheltering in place and all this kind of stuff. So I was fixing up the man cave, doing stuff. I was fixing doors down in the basement. I was painting. I completely painted my man cave. I bought new recliners, you know, did all kinds of stuff to, you know, make it comfortable and homey, because I was going to be doing a lot of work from home. You know, I had to, you know, get it set up where I could do radio, because they closed down the radio. So now I have my own little radio station right here in the man cave. And so as I'm doing all that, my flat screen in the man cave died. Just died. I mean, I went to turn it on and just nothing. Nothing. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go up to Walmart and I'm gonna buy another flat screen. Yeah, you know, they got decent prices for flat screens. You know, some of those flat screens I get $400. Yeah. So I went up to Walmart, right? And I'm walking around Walmart looking at the televisions, but the only ones that were in stock, huge 55, 60 inches. And for the man cave space, I didn't want nothing that big. 32 to 40 inch. That's all I need. You know, put it right above the bar area. Bam, I'm good. But I could not find a 32 or 40 inch television. They were all gone. None were stock. And I'm scratching my head and I'm like, okay, what? Because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody's sheltering in place and stuff. I'm trying to figure out why all of the flat screens have left the shelves at Walmart. So I asked this Latino gentleman who was working there, I said, where are all the smaller televisions? He says, oh, they're all gone. We don't have anything in stock. I'm okay. So did y'all have some special sale on televisions or something that I didn't know about? He said, no. He said, you know what happened. And it just wasn't in my mind. I was oblivious. I didn't know what he was talking about. But he said, you know what happened? Dude, would you just tell me what happened? He said, people got them stimulus. Ding, 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 ding. And then it hit me. I said, are you kidding me? He said, no. He said, people got them stimulus checks and those TVs started flying off the shelf. And I said, what did the people look like? He looked at me, he said, they look like you and they look like me. That's the reality of what happened with a lot of folks. The first time the stimulus checks came out, y'all didn't pay no mortgages, no car notes, buy no groceries or nothing like that. Y'all ran out and bought flat screens and other stuff with them checks. So let's just keep it a buck. You know, that's what's gonna happen. And you know what? Let's be real. That is what they are banking on many of you doing. See, because you stimulate the economy by putting money back into the economy, putting money back in businesses, etc. And they are banking on y'all getting that check and going to buy a flat screen or going shopping or going out to the restaurant. Or now that they opening the country back up, going to the club, having that party and all of that other kind. That's what they're banking on you black and brown people doing, because you know what we have perfected? We have perfected putting money into other people's community. Yes, 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 yes. The dollar circulates in Jewish communities 10 times before it leaves. That means, you know, they buy from each other. They get goods and services from each other. The dollar circulates 4 times in white communities before it leaves. The dollar does not circulate in black communities 1 time before it leaves. You get a check, you get paid, you get a stimulus, you get your tax refund, and immediately you put your money in somebody else's community. And then we wonder why. We wonder why our economic situation doesn't get any better, because on top of the blatant disparities that already exist, we have not learned how to maximize our money to circulate it in our own community. We have not learned how to pass down generational wealth to the next generation. And so the reality is, America owes us way more than a one-time stimulus check. One of the things I had been working with Pam Keith and several other preachers across the nation, and along with Andrew and some others, before this legislation was on the table, we were working to try to get members of Congress to accept the idea of monthly payments to the American people over a period of months until this economic crisis caused by COVID-19 was abated. We were trying to get $1,200 monthly checks to help people make it through this. That would both stimulate the economy and help the American people. Because many of you know, how many agree you'd be much better off with a $1,200 monthly check? See, they wouldn't have to worry about extending unemployment benefits and those types of things if everyone was getting a $1,200 monthly check. Everyone who had a certain income level, that would go a long way. And here's the thing: there are other countries that are doing this. Canada and other places. There are other countries that are giving their people monthly checks to make sure that they shelter in place, to make sure that they do what is necessary to abate this virus. They're doing that right now. They are doing that. But America, supposedly the richest nation on earth, can't help its people like that. Why is that? Why is that? And see, America, the Congress can find money when it needs to. Oh, it can, when it wants to find money, it finds money. Man, it found $2 trillion for that first stimulus with ease. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Pastor Swan. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I woke up.
Well, that's always a good thing.
That's a gift.
Yes.
But yeah, you have some key points. I was listening to you, especially with the dollar doesn't stay in our community. I think it's like hour maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't rotate one time.
Right. Yeah, but the stimulus thing, because I bet you the average person don't know what's in it of all.
Right.
And number two, some of the stuff I was reading, it will blow my mind. All the money that's overseas, for this, for that, they don't take care of us. And it's pitiful.
You know, in the stimulus package. Now, admittedly, from what I read in this one, it provides far less aid to businesses than the first one did. But that first stimulus package, 43,000 millionaires got an average of $1.7 million each out of that stimulus package that they sent the average American who was making less than $75,000 $1,200. So while they were giving average folk $100 check, millionaires was getting $1.7 million. That was in that first stimulus package.
Yeah, because some of them was returning the money. They didn't need it. And if I'm not mistaken, the Lakers owner, I think. And I said to myself, how does that happen? And then people seem to forget Trump still tax cut back in 2017 was way more than Biden's current 1.9 trillion.
Right.
It was like 400, 500 billion more. And people seem to forget that. So what? So this 1.9, that's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. The first stimulus package was over $2 trillion.
So this is actually a smaller package than that one was. And once again, we concede that it doesn't have as much fluff in it for rich folk and for businesses, I think, which is a good thing. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't have a whole lot in it for your average working adult who finds himself out of job because of this pandemic.
Yeah, and I remember when Biden went on TV right before the Senate election down in Georgia, and he said if you getting $2,000.
That's what he said. He said it plain as day.
He made a good point about when they we're gonna take off 600 because so you get 1,400. No.
Think about that. Who does that? So it's like if I tell my son, yeah, man, I'm gonna give you $20. I'm gonna give you $20, and then I give him 14. I'll be like, oh, because your uncle gave you 6, so I'm only giving you 10. I mean, it makes no sense.
And you made another good point about receiving a 1,400, and they know we going out because the government knows that blacks, the delivering more electronics than any other race.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they know that. So.
Oh, trust me. Trust me.
And the 1400 is like make you forget about what's going on in the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
I got 1400. I ain't thinking about I'm gonna take, blah, blah. So that's
right.
Psychological.
They're not thinking about the child credits. They're not thinking about unemployment benefits. They're not thinking about so many other things that are in this pack. The only thing they think about, I want my $1,400 check because I'll get flat screen.
Yeah, so I just think what's going on now with the vaccinations, I just can't believe it. Now it's access.
Yeah.
You can tell me we could send a rocket to the moon and we can't figure this thing out as far as properly people in all communities all across this country. They can't get vaccinated.
Right.
I can't understand that, Pastor. I can't understand it.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So, talking to you.
Absolutely.
As always, Buzz Brother, Richard.
Yes, sir. All right. You have a good day.
You too.
All right. 413-337-1867 is the number here. Y'all want to chime in on the conversation? Love to have you on. So the phone lines are wide open. It is International Women's Day. First Ladies was supposed to be getting on here at about right about now. So she might be running a little bit behind. So, well, we'll wait for her to keep it. If y'all want her on, somebody type in the comments, bring on the First Lady. If y'all want me to get First Lady on here, type it in the comments and say, Bishop, bring on the First Lady. All right. And if none of y'all type it in, or if a few of y'all type it in, I'll be able to laugh at her because she always talking junk. Whitney, you don't count. You don't count. Sabrina Brantley, you don't count either. Oh boy. International Women's Day. Let me see who's here. Bishop, bring on First Lady. Okay, all right. Okay. So say keep talking, Bishop. Ah, boy. Keep talking. There you go. Please bring the First Lady. International Women's Day. All right. I got YouTube saying bring her on. I got Facebook saying bring her on. I ain't got it on Twitter saying bring on the First Lady. Let's make it a trifecta. Look like all her people are on Facebook. Let me check the gram. Anybody on the gram want the First Lady on? Let's see. Anybody on the gram? Anybody on Twitter? Or is it just the Facebook church that wants the First Lady on here? 413-337-1867. About 11 minutes until we get off the air on WTCC. And we'll keep going on a little beyond. I hear you, Juanita. We'll keep going a little beyond that with our streaming audience as well. Want to once again remind you that listen. Let me take this phone call, then I'll come back with that reminder about the auction. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air, caller.
Yeah, Women's
Oh, now you want to give her half my show?
Yes, I do. 30 minutes is Women's Day. Give her half of the show.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Now y'all just don't want me to bring her on. Y'all want me to give her half the show. Wow. Okay, well, she's late, but looks like she's gonna come on. 413-337-1867. Let me remind you one more again about the auction. Springfield Black Lives Matter Mural Committee, in collaboration with the artists, is having this auction. All of those pieces that were painted on September 12th, when we painted the mural in front of City Hall, that captures a moment in the movement for racial justice, are being auctioned. Once again, go to 32auctions.com/BLM 2021. 32auctions.com/BLM 2021. The auction ends this Saturday at 11 p.m. So go on there, check out the art that's there, and then put in your bid if you want to purchase a piece of history. You late?
Yes, I am a little late.
I asked the people if they wanted you on. That most of them was like, "No, just keep talking, Bishop."
Oh, well, good. Well, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm just playing. You got a little fan club on Facebook. Don't nobody on Twitter be thinking about you. Ain't nobody thinking about you on Twitter.
Yeah, because I don't.
You had a couple people.
I don't have. Hey, baby, my daughter loves me.
You had a couple people on YouTube who wanted you to come on, but most of them is just the Twitter church. I mean, the Facebook church.
Well, babe, I'm not on Twitter.
You're on Twitter.
On
But
I'm only on Twitter for Karen.
You don't come to church on Twitter that often.
No, I don't. I don't know a lot about Twitter. I don't know a lot about social media, period. You
just come to Facebook church.
I do Facebook church.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I always sound a little raspy on Mondays because I be giving it my all on Sundays. Yeah.
She always sound a little raspy on Mondays because she just be getting up 5 minutes before she's supposed to be on the air.
It's because I be giving it my all on Sunday. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Sunday.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. You sound raspy all the time too.
I give my all on Sunday and I sound good on Mondays.
You sound raspy all the time too.
I sound good.
You have a preacher voice all the time. Good morning, everybody. Everybody telling me good morning, babe.
Okay. What, you want a cookie? They tell me good morning too.
Oh, well, okay. But right now
they've been telling me good morning for 21 years.
Okay, well. And are you going to ever tell anybody the truth about that?
About what?
I've never heard you tell anybody that it was me that planted that seed into you about going on to a radio show or having a talk show. And I was supposed to be your producer and we were supposed to do the talk show together. And I even planted the seed. Excuse me.
That ain't how I remember it.
I even planned. I know you don't never remember any of the nuggets that I give you. You don't ever remember.
But I do remember.
But I know everybody know what I'm talking about, especially those of you who
I do remember.
Other creators or other creatives.
Well, what I do remember.
Y'all know. Well.
What I do remember is I know the late Alan Howard. The late Alan Howard would periodically have me on his show. Now this time slot.
Here we go. I have nothing to do with it.
Let me finish the story, babe. This time slot used to belong to Alan Howard, Candace Lopes, and I forget her first name, but Thompson, Lisa Silver Thompson. Those three had this time slot. Two of them kind of slipped off the slot, and Alan was doing most of the shows. So Alan started calling me the guest host for his time slot, which I started doing. And then he also would call my sister Rhonda to guest host. Well, when Alan moved to New Bedford, we had a meeting at the station and talked about me and Rhonda taking over the Monday time slot, which we did eventually. And we would alternate. She would do one Monday, I would do the other Monday, until she moved. The first job she took outside of Springfield, she went to work for a newspaper in Delaware, which moved her out of the city. So then I took over the Monday time slot myself, and have been doing it myself ever since.
Yeah, I planted the seed long before all of that happened. Before all of that happened.
So anyway, that's how this story happened here. But you know, what other seeds did you plant?
No, I planted that seed and a whole lot of other seeds. You know, and I certainly have done a lot of watering.
What, pumpkin seeds?
I certainly have done a lot of watering with
sunflower
some of the
seeds.
No, I certainly have done a lot of watering. You know, we could definitely have a show about this topic right here. we can dedicate a whole show about this topic right here.
Well,
you know, but you know, black women, and I'm gonna say, Black Lives Matter. I'm gonna say that. Black Lives Matter.
You thought that was funny, huh? You cracking yourself up right now?
No, I'm not cracking myself up. It's just really funny, you know, how, you know, Black women and you know, the things that we do, you know, behind the scenes tends to always get overlooked and ignored.
Okay.
And you know, and rarely acknowledged. Rarely acknowledged. They'll go all around the bush, you know, and acknowledge everybody else. But, you know, the seed planter and the one that's, you know, constantly and continually, you know, watering that seed, you know, or whatever, we tend to get overlooked. I mean, but it's the plight of Black women. It's the plight of Black women in this world, and certainly in this country.
2 minutes left here on WTCC. Once again, remember 32auctions.com/BLM2021 if you want to put your bid in for one of those pieces of art that was painted during the painting of the Black Lives Matter mural downtown in front of City Hall. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. We live stream at 11 o'clock a.m. every Sunday morning, and you definitely want to be a part of all of that. Listen, we're going to sign off of WTCC, and we're going to come right back with First Lady. Another half hour. Y'all wanted me to give her 30 minutes. She got it. For another half hour, talking about International Women's Day, Women's History Month, et cetera, et cetera. Just kind of shooting it, talking about it, all that kind of stuff. 413-337-1867 is the number here. Listen, until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. We'll be right back, streaming audience. Don't go nowhere. All right, and we're back with you. So, in this month's point of view, they've got a montage of women who have done historic things here in the Pioneer Valley, particularly in Springfield. My sister, my big sister, who passed away in 2015, she was a year older than I. So we came right along together, went to high school together, went to college together. She is featured in there. She was the first, and to this date is yet the only Black editor of the Republican newspaper in its history. So she did some groundbreaking things there. I want to play a piece by her. Now, we've got some of her stuff anywhere you stream music, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, wherever it is. A number of her spoken word pieces. There are 2 pieces up there. One is entitled Speaking My Mind in Poetic Verse. The other one is called Foreplay. So there's a lot of stuff that's on there. I'm going to play this one because this has got a significant place in my heart because she dedicated this piece to me and my brothers. And she entitled this one, Thank You, My Brother. So check it out, and then we'll rolling with you, but then we'll come back and have a conversation.
For all the brothers out there doing the right thing by your family, your friends, your children, this one's for you. It's called Thank You, My Brother. Thank you, my brother, for being there for my sons. When their own father deserted them, you were the one who taught them right from wrong and how to be a man, to handle their business and not be like those who ran away from their responsibilities, and the children they fathered so many excuses why they couldn't be so bothered. But you didn't run, no, you stood by your woman's side, loved and respected her, and made her your bride. Welcomed your children with open and loving arms, and do everything you can to keep them from harm. You showed my boys that there is another way, and that shirking your duties is not something you play. That real men show love and emotion and even cook and clean, and it's not about being hardcore, rough, tough, and mean. And even if things with your lady don't work out, you'll still love and care for your children without any doubt. You showed them a real man takes care of his family and his home, and only losers believe the streets were meant to roam. You gave them an example, someone to look up to. When sisters say all brothers are dogs, I can point to you and say, no, there are plenty of good brothers, responsible and kind, hard-working, devoted, and a real good time. Thank you, my brother, for all the great things you do. Thank you, my brother, for just being you. Thank you, my brother.
All right. International Women's Day. What does that mean? What's that all about?
I don't know, babe. It means a lot of things to everybody, but it is a day, I guess, or a month, throughout the year that we set aside, to pay special attention to the contributions of women all over the world. And as a Black woman, I like to say significant focus on the contributions of Black women, and certainly, doing the research necessary to find the truth in our contributions as well, because as we know, there's been a lot of resources and intention dedicated to stripping us of the truth and knowledge of, our existence and the contributions we've made, and and just our strength and power, and just the truth. Yeah. So it is that time. It is that time. But just like with Black History, I would like to say this. Just like with Black History is not a week, it's not a day, and it's certainly not just a month. Black History is every day, and so is Women's History. It's every day. But like I said, I guess it's great to have special time dedicated to acknowledging the contributions that women make in the world.
All right. What are those contributions? And I know there are many,
Well, you know what?
but
The
what would
better
you like
question.
to highlight if you wanted to highlight contributions of Black women? What is it that you'd like to acknowledge?
That is too loaded because that is too loaded because just like with Black History, once again, there's no contribution we haven't made. Like there's no area we haven't touched on. There's no area that would be successful or would be present today, or whatever, had it not been for the strength, the empowerment, the endurance, the sacrifice of women. And like I said, I would like to pay special notice to the contribution of women of color and Black and brown women. The most oppressed, overlooked, especially Black women, the most oppressed, the most overlooked, group of women.
I want to talk specifically
on
about Black women, and there's no slight to any other woman,
right?
Because I really believe when it comes to being ostracized, dehumanized, brutalized, overlooked,
Right.
oppressed.
Mhm.
And I know there are others who always want to jump into this narrative space and start highlighting what they've been through. But I this is my opinion, and I think that there's empirical, historical evidence to corroborate it that have been through what Black women have been through. And that's real for me.
Right.
That's reality. And then I don't think there's been one as overlooked in terms of the quiet strength and the significant contributions. It's kind of like when you look at the scope of what is touted as American ingenuity in terms of inventions and those things that have come to being to make the world a better place. People often forget that many times behind the scenes, not getting credit for what they did.
Not getting
Black
credit.
inventors, Black people like you turn on your light and people say, thank God for Thomas Edison. And they name whole electric companies after
him.
Edison, Con Edison, and many more. And it was Lewis Latimer who created the filament for the light bulb. But we couldn't get the patents, so white folks would go and patent our stuff and take credit for it. Your refrigerator is because of a black man. And so many times there are women, Black women, who are the driving engine behind the contributions of Black men, and white women that have never gotten credit for it.
And not only, and I want us to just take a minute, and acknowledge the spirit of our ancestors. But I also want us to take a minute and acknowledge the presence of our ancestors as children, because our ingenuity is so great and so massive. It was, I believe she was like 4 years old, a little girl. My spiritual mother told me about this story, and I did some research on it myself. A little girl, she was a slave, and she picked cotton, as a slave. But she was, the demand was on her the same as the adults. So she had to pick so much cotton a day, to meet the standard of cotton, or they would be beat. So this 4-year-old little girl developed a system, to where she picked and she met that standard as a child, as a little girl, as a little slave girl, that she exceeded the adults. So that's the kind of ingenuity that we have in us, or whatever. We develop systems, we create systems, we create methods, to meet and exceed systems all the time. So, that's the kind of uh, uh gift of creativity that they are always trying to oppress, because they see the power in us, and that's the reason why we get a lot of the a lot of the racism and a lot of the mistreatment that we do. So, but anyway, like I said, I just wanted to take a moment and honor the presence of our ancestors in that way. Once again, we are the descendants of those that survived, that exceeded, and thrived even in the midst of such torture and oppression.
Yeah, and then oftentimes we talk about and we acknowledge those who have um, some real historical significance in the meta narrative of the Black struggle. And so we talk about, your Ida B. Wells and your Madam C.J.
Yeah,
Walkers and your
right,
Sojourner Truths, but sometimes we don't acknowledge uh, the lesser
right here,
known names
right.
of individuals who have helped entire communities and neighborhoods and families. We don't talk about the Sally Swans and the
No, no, no.
Perbayons and
Mm-mm.
the Lois Swans and the various people who have made significant contributions to their communities and their
Absolutely.
families, but they don't have that national or international name recognition. But without them, we don't
Our
even have
communities
those
wouldn't
other
be where they
giants.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good segue to something that women in the NAACP have decided to do this month. It's a couple of things, as you know, Bishop, that we're doing on the 27th. We're having our first symposium. The intersectionality of Black womanhood, and that's going to be on the 27th, starting at 12 o'clock on the 27th. But also, we've been acknowledging on Facebook, we've been shouting out those women in our local community, in the community of Springfield, that are our unsung heroes. So we shouted out Ms. Mabel Lynn Sharif this past week, and we have other people that we plan on certainly honoring and paying tribute to throughout the rest of the month. So yeah, I think that it is really important that we start at home before we start looking abroad. And I also think that that's part of the misconception, and that's part of a misunderstanding that we may have in our culture. I think a lot of people, even in this work, even in the work that we do, as activists, or as community members that support and lend their support, or want to see change in some of these racist systems, which all systems are racist, because that's how they started. But nevertheless, I think we need to always, look around and thank God, for I like to call it Amani now, because we know that Amani is not just faith, but Amani is also your village coming together in
You might
faith.
want to spell
And
that because people got stimulus on the mind. They might think you're saying a money.
oh,
You talking about a money. They talking about what money? You talking about
Amani.
IMANI, talking about faith. Imani. She ain't talking about your stimulus check.
Right. I'm talking about your faith. I'm talking about, it's your village in action. It's your village in action. And Lord knows I've really been on this lately. I've really been on this lately, how I really have experienced Amani in action. Oh, when I was going through, when I lost my mom, and I'm still going through, with losing my mom, but also with recovering from COVID. My Amani, my Amani, my village in action came together, and I'm telling you, I would not have recovered as quickly as I have, and I wouldn't be in the state of mind that I am had it not been for my Amani. And so, I'm just telling you, the women that's in my circle, uh, listen, words are inadequate in describing how important a sisterhood is, how important and that how important that has been in my life. But nevertheless, just kind of getting back to International Women's Month or whatever, we are acknowledging those great women, in our lives. My mother-in-law, my mother, our grandmothers. Oh my God, such amazing women. And so what I think we need to do more of, everybody that can hear me, what I think we need to do more of is not think about these things when they're gone. I think we need to acknowledge them while they're still here so that we can provide the encouragement that they need to keep doing what they're doing. And so I've spoken to Ms. Mabel briefly, and she said to me, babe, and I think I need to let you know this. She said to me that she was thinking about retiring, but she asked God to send her a sign if it was time for her to retire. And so after the tribute that we made to her, she said she thinks that this is her sign to stay. So she's going to stay a little bit longer. So she's going to continue to do the work that she's been doing with Bay State and in the community. So she feels a little bit more encouraged and certainly empowered, to continue her work. And we want her to have more time, God, and we're praying for her strength right now. We want her to have more time to produce more Miss Mabels. I call her Moms Mabels. More Miss Mabels, more Moms Mabels in the community. So, we need some more people. We need some of these younger women, myself included, to be gleaning from the Mabels of Springfield, Massachusetts, so that we can become, yeah. Go ahead.
Did you just include stuff in younger women?
Well, I'm younger than Miss Mabel. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I meant. I'm just younger, a little bit younger than Miss Mabel's. That's why I call them moms, respectfully. So, including myself, to continue to, develop us and produce, give us the skills and the wisdom that she has to pass that down so that we can continue to build up on the work that she's been doing down through the years, down through the decades. She's done a lot of work with your mom, and she was talking about that too. Yeah, she was talking about that too, and which I love. Yeah.
Well, see, the other thing is I think is important, and that was the importance of the griot or the storyteller in Black communities has really been forgotten because they passed down an oral history that often gets lost. Things that are not in the history books, and I told many of these folks don't know things, and I'm not talking about things from 100, 200, 300 years ago.
No,
they don't know stuff that happened in our city 20 years ago. They don't know
things. When we were born.
They
Right.
don't know things that happened 10 years ago.
No,
And
that's true.
often I tell people stories, just things that have happened in my lifetime. You know, I tell them how we challenged the the school committee, who, after bringing on Peter Negroni as the first Latino first superintendent of color, period, in the city, and he was going to appoint 4 Black women as principals, and how racist on the school committee tried to block it from happening.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some of us who stood up to the school committee during that time. Myself, Art Sirota, Maria Morales Lobo, Peter
Mm-hmm.
Hidalgo, and some others, and forced the school committee to hear us. And it was then Bob McCullum, a Black man who was on the school committee, who moved to suspend the rules to allow us to speak, because Bob Markle, who was the mayor at the time, wasn't trying to hear it and was rapping his gavel and the whole nine. And we said, we're not moving. My sister at that time, we didn't have the cell phones like we do now. She was paging me. And when I called her later, she said, you can't be, she was watching it on television. You can't be working for Mayor Markle. You can't be standing up there calling my boss racist. But we forced that school committee to hire 4 Black women principals. Most of them are retired now. Celeste Bud Jackson, Willette Johnson, and others. People don't know that history. People don't know the history of how we have a predominantly Black and Latino city council right now, because of those who fought for ward representation. People don't know why, when they go out to the Eastfield Mall and they see those signs up about code of conduct, they don't know the backstory behind it. They don't know the story about how my mother and folks in her generation fought for desegregation in this city, that fought for tenant rights when they were in the North End, and worked through model cities and all of that. They don't know the stories that exist right here in our city, and the Black people that played integral roles. They see the pictures. They don't know about Ben Swan standing up at City Hall when Mayor Charlie Ryan brought in the National Guard when they were protesting because of the Octagon Lounge incident in the 60s. If you ask the average person, even in our age range, let alone our children, about the Octagon Lounge incident in their own city, they're oblivious. And we've got to tell those stories.
Not only do we have to tell those stories, but we have to have a platform for people to receive those stories. For instance, like I tell my kids, I tell our kids, all the time, I'm like, listen, you now that my mom is gone, but it's like you guys had your grandparents, or when you have your grandparents or great grandparents, or your ancestors, or the generation before you should always be gleaning from them. One of the great joys of my life, and I think it was because I was such an inquisitive kid, was sitting on the end of the bed, or sitting at my grandmother's knee and asking her questions about her childhood, asking her, what did they eat, how was it living on a farm, how did you make biscuits, all your quilts were handmade and hand sewn, and all of that stuff fascinated me. But these young people today, and I don't know if it's because of such a culture shift with technology, these young people today don't socialize and interact. We don't interact with our elders, and we don't have that reverence for them, or I don't see them having that reverence for them, or that interest in them, and where they came from, what they did, the activism, their education, their or whatever. And then it's such a disrespect too. And I hate to say this.
A lot of them don't even know that.
Let me finish this segment, babe, because I think that we participated in this. A lot of us who became quote unquote formally educated And a lot of us became formally educated in these PWIs. So I kind of question the education that we received anyway. But nevertheless, a lot of us who became formally educated by parents who were not educated probably didn't finish high school, you know, in some cases, you know, or whatever the case may be, and certainly didn't go to college. And maybe that was the same thing with with your grandparents. I know my grandfather was illiterate. My grandmother had to drop out in the 8th grade, you know, and I do remember my grandfather telling me that he wanted to go to school and he tried to go to school, but his father would come and get him and beat him back to the farm because he said, you don't need no education. You need to work on this farm, you know, or whatever case may be. And so a lot of us became educated and we, you know, we looked down on the generation before us, you know, or whatever, because they wasn't educated. So there's something about that too, to where we thought we were better than, you know, or whatever, you know, and that kind of got mixed up in the culture. And so now we're seeing the results of that, you know. Now we're seeing the results of that. You know, we wish some of us who got formally educated, you know, or whatever at these PWIs, we wish we could go back and be the man we were, or the man our grandfather was, or the woman our grandmothers were, you know, or whatever.
My grandmother went back to school at 77 years old. She went back to UMass because she decided she was going to. She passed away before she could complete that degree, but she was a student at UMass in her late 70s. She always pushed education. Never had the opportunity to do it herself, but went. Now my mother never received a college degree. Now most people don't know that.
Yeah.
But worked her way up with a high school diploma through her community activism. Eventually, she was offered the position of the director of the regional office
Department
of Education. But because her children were, and that would require her traveling back and forth to Boston, she turned that job down, and they gave her the job of assistant director for the regional office of the Department of Education, which she worked until she retired because she needed to be close to home because she had 5 young children, all close in age that she was raising. And so we have many who didn't have formal higher education, but yet, you know, did some great things.
Yeah, ascended.
You know, in spite of that.
So I'm glad that you brought up the Department of Education, because I do think that one subject we need to bring up before, you know, we leave your show today is what's going on with the governor, with the state, and schools reopening. April 5th, being, you know, set to reopen on April the 5th. And so, although we only have one child still in school, and his school is not subject, you know, to this quote unquote mandate to reopen schools to only in-house learning. No other options, just in-house, full in-house learning. Because, you know, he attends a charter school in Chicopee. So, you know, they're not subject to that mandate. So we've filled out the survey at his school, and they asked us if, you know, we wanted to continue remote learning, or we had the options of continuing remote learning, or if we wanted to switch to hybrid. And we can, you know, we can reassess during any given semester, you know. So right now we don't feel safe enough to send our kid to school, period, because of the status of the virus. And I just think that is really strange that this is not an option for the public schools in the state as well, you know. Um, so so the Department of Education has recommended to the governor that schools, your public schools, you know, kindergarten through 12th grade, that they reopen fully to only in-house learning. I got a big time problem with that. A lot of other parents have signed on to the petition that I've created as an individual community member. To that, you know, we got a problem with that. This, you know, this needs to be discussed further before a decision like this is made to expose our children to potential harm again through the virus. And then when the mandate was made, here's the other thing. Teachers wasn't even a priority as far as like getting
Right.
vaccinated.
Right.
So of course, you know, he's received some letters and this, that, and the other, and I believe it was like on Thursday or something of last week, the mandate to, you know, to certainly up the priority of vaccination for teachers when it's 3 weeks away to where schools are supposed to reopen. And since when does vaccinating teachers, though, since when does that keep the kids safe? There's no vaccination in, you know, for children. And even, you know, and it's not like children can't contract the virus and die. You know, I don't want to talk about death, but that's a fact. You know, so it's a lot going on. If it's people like your mother was still alive and, you know, and working for the Department of Education, I know that she would be advocating to do the right thing, you know, with this. It makes absolutely no sense when school will be out a month later, you know.
It's all of, and they're really doing the setup for September because they put that little caveat in, the option to opt out for the rest of this school year, which would only be a month, like you said. They're really doing the setup for September, and this is all about money. It's about dollars and cents. And the problem is, too often we've got politicians who put politics over people.
Yeah.
And I know
and so black women are trying to help to make that change. You know, our political system is corrupt. It's time for people to be humane in their decisions. You know, whatever the case may be, we want people to represent people. We don't want people to represent dollars and corporations and business.
And that's what it is. It's
we want you to represent people.
People have to understand the amount of money that corporations have invested into schools being in session. You know, right. Bottom line is they feed you in school. There's a number of other things that happen in school. There's a lot of money that is not flowing into corporations with schools doing a virtual or a hybrid session. And there's a lot of pressure being put on politicians by lobbyists to get the schools back open because they are missing their money. And these politicians are kowtowing to the interests of corporations. It's not about them being concerned about these children being in school or anything like that.
Absolutely.
It's about the almighty dollar.
Right. And so, which brings me to a really good point. I have absolutely no idea, y'all, why I'm having such a hard time getting people to sign my petition. I only have a little more than 100 signatures on my petition, and I've been working for a week now to get signatures, and I only have a little more than 100 signatures.
You should probably put it in the chat right now.
Well, they probably are, but you know, I can't make those kinds of promises. But I can tell you this about that check. For the most part, that's your money. I can tell you that. That's your money. So I don't know why y'all acting like it's a gift. You know, it's your money. You don't pay tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands until you know with your taxes being taken out of your
Yeah.
paycheck.
Y'all,
So
y'all
that's your
stop
money.
thinking this. Y'all stop thinking these are gifts from
That's your money, and
politicians.
then they're gonna make you pay
It's
it back.
tax dollars.
Don't forget that part. Don't forget that part. You're gonna have to
Those
pay that money back. You know,
those are
eventually you're
tax
gonna have to pay that money back
dollars.
through other taxes, through other
Yeah.
ways. You
Yeah.
know,
When you
I
get
believe
taxes
I
taken
heard.
out of your check, that money we provide the government with their salaries. You pay for those senators and those people in Congress. You pay their salary. So don't think that they're
Mm-hmm.
doing you a favor by
You're
a
not gonna that's
stimulus
about their money.
package that's going to help you with the money that you provided to them. So even when Donald Trump had his name put on the checks that should have said Treasury Department, that money wasn't from him. Okay. That was your money
I mean,
coming back to you.
people really thought that was money from him. I thought it was the craziest thing I ever seen in my life. You know, but yeah, Lord have mercy, we trying to stay focused on International Women's Month. You know,
Well,
but
you
we all over
you
the
know,
place. We all over the place, Bishop. But that, I guess
it's
that's
a
what happened.
it's a chat. It happens. And I got people in the comments when we started talking about the history. Falba Smith is talking
Yeah,
about when we changed Winchester Square to Mason Square. I remember that fight.
yeah.
It should have never been
Mm-hmm.
Winchester Square, but they named it after a white man who used to be a
Yeah,
mayor here, even though the land was donated by a black man with the name Mason. And yes, that was a fight to change it from
racism.
Winchester Square to Mason Square. Eddie Anderson is talking about
Do a lot of people know
the
that? Probably most
classical
people
high
don't know
school
that.
riots of the 50s and 60s. That's a part of the history here. So much history that people need to learn about your
Let me
own
ask you a
city.
question about that too. The Winchester Square, Mason Square. Let me ask you this. Because I'm not a native of Springfield, although I've been here a long time. When it was named Winchester Square, I'm just curious, right? Was it more monies from the city dedicated to
No,
keeping the area looking a certain kind of way when it was Winchester Square,
no,
as opposed to okay, all right. I was
no.
just
But
wondering.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. When it was Winchester Square, um, it was a thriving community that had major retail and businesses. Charles Stokes was talking about this, which let me know how old he was. I said, okay, Stokes is a little older than I am then, because if he remember all this, but I mean, we had King's Department Store, we had Woolworths, we had thriving major businesses in the community. They allowed the community to go downhill. But it was no more of a let me switch that. Let me switch that. Yes and no. Remember now, when it was first named Winchester Square, it was not a predominantly black neighborhood. Okay. Most of the black folk in Springfield
That's what I figured.
lived in the North End. And then when they began the redevelopment, black folk moved from the North End into what was called Winchester Square. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And when black folk got into Winchester Square, whatever dedication the city had for that community, they no longer had. And now it's renamed Mason Square, and it kind of speaks for itself in terms of their lack of dedication to that particular community. But the city has done a poor job in terms of acknowledging the contributions of black folk, in this city and throughout this community as a whole. Every now and then, they'll name something after a black person, for symbolism's sake. We got the Primus Mason homes. They named the Ray Jordan Senior Center, which quite honestly, and I've said this, so it's no slight on anybody, I thought should have been named the Ruth B. Loving Senior Center. Nobody fought harder for a senior center in this city, in our community, than Ruth Loving did. And I think
I'm telling you,
in the face to her family and her legacy not to name that senior center after Ruth B. Loving, a black woman. which is another classic example of a black woman being slighted right here in our city.
Every day.
So they do name a few things here and there after us, but overall, we've got to do a better job of giving the oral history that is not written in the books in terms of our city, and that has to be done in cities and towns across America, across the nation, for people to really understand the significant impact that Black people in general have made, and Black women in particular. Let me see what we got left. We've already gone 11 minutes past the time where I was going to go, but you know, it is what it is. International Women's Day. Today is International Women's Day in the middle of Women's History Month. So we acknowledge all year long, just like we acknowledge Black history all year long. But this month has been set aside, and this day has been set aside as International Women's Day. So shout out to all of the sagacious sisters that are out there that keep it moving all day, every day, and keep us on point, keep our community on point. And keep plugging and pushing us forward. What are you putting in the chat, babe? You chatting?
I was trying to answer somebody's question in the chat. They asked for the link to the petition.
No,
so
you gotta put
you
put that in the private chat, babe.
I know, so I'm sending it to you so you can put it in the chat because I can't do it.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
It's not letting me do it, right?
Oh, I was like, she on the air with me. Why she trying to chat in the private chat?
Because somebody asked me for the petition, and I need every signature I can get. But you know, kind of getting back to that before we end today. Oh, Michael's asking about the auction address again too. But before we, end today. You can also look up the petition. Bishop just put it in. But you can also look up the petition on my Facebook page, which is Cynthia Davis Swan. Cynthia Davis Swan on my Facebook page. And, any of you can certainly reach out to me and befriend me, to get the, well, you don't have to befriend me, but, you can access the petition on my page as well. Okay.
All right. And listen, coming up, we are going to be talking to some of our candidates for office. We got a number of candidates for office, of whom I am definitely supporting. And we're going to be having as many candidates who want to come on, but there will be some that I am definitely endorsing and supporting, and we'll hear more about that coming up. This is an election year for our municipal officers, those running for school committee, those running for city council. So be aware that is happening. Nomination papers are circulating even now. And so sign the nomination papers. And here's the other thing I want to encourage you all to do is to make a donation. Because see, a lot of time we do a whole lot of talking about what's happening politically. And like we talked earlier about them knowing that Black folk are gonna spend money on them flat screens and all that. They know y'all spend money. They know y'all spend money, but y'all won't write no checks.
They know we Black too.
Y'all won't write no checks. Y'all won't write no checks for worthy causes to donate to political campaigns
no more.
And all that stuff. Well, Cash App, do whatever you need to do.
There you go.
Support.
Zelle.
these candidates. Okay, y'all, spend some money on something else. And you should have some saved up. You couldn't go to the movies all during this pandemic. You couldn't go out to dinner too often and all that kind of. All of y'all probably been like me, door dashing it.
So I got this idea about that. I'm sorry, Bishop, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I got this idea about that, and actually, my friend who I'm in total support of, and I'm on her team, her campaign team. It's been a pleasure and an honor thus far. But that sister Queen Zeta Govan is running for city council for Ward 8, which is, certainly the ward that we live in. And
what is she the queen of? Zamunda?
We call each other queen. All my sisters are queens. All my sisters are queens. All my daughters are princesses, or some of them are queens because they're adults, and we're just doing a little adjustment to their crowns. But nevertheless, all of us are queens. So y'all didn't want to acknowledge us, so we acknowledge each other. Get back again to how we're overlooked and not acknowledged in proper ways. But okay. But anyway, we do. We call each other queens even when y'all don't want to. So we know who we are. We know our worth. Didn't you preach it yesterday? Wait a minute. What was that message yesterday? What did you preach yesterday, Bishop?
You tell me.
Do we
See,
need to
that's
play
the problem with y'all church folk.
Do we need to play it? Do we need to play it? Do we need to play
hours later?
Do we need to play the message that you preached yesterday?
Oh, it's on podcast. Y'all can go check it out.
All right. So, but nevertheless, I know who I am even when you don't know who I am. And I know my worth even when you don't know my worth. Okay.
Yeah, we just silenced her right there. Now, how about that? There. Can't nobody hear you right now. Can't nobody hear you. Can't nobody hear you.
Oh, okay. So, I can, but what I was going to say was this is a challenge that I'm putting out there to everybody that's listening to me. And it's something that I want you to challenge those that are kind of in your influence or, sphere of influence to, conduct the same challenge. So one of the things that I decided to do is to invest into the political people, that I believe in or that I think would be great candidates, for our city council, for our school committee, or whatever, because that's this year. Those are the people that we're voting for. Those are the people that's up for election or re-election, if you will. And so I'm making a sacrifice. I mean, it may sound small, but if a whole lot of us do it together, it helps their campaign. It helps to finance their campaign. So with Zeta, we're gonna kick her coffee club off on the 23rd of this month. So on March the 23rd, we're going to kick off the coffee club. So what we're asking is that everybody make that $5 a week donation sacrifice, and you go without your Starbucks coffee for that week, or whatever, to invest into Sister Zeta's campaign, or Sister Ayana's campaign, or into the campaign of people that you believe in and that you support, or whatever the case may be. So it's a small sacrifice, but like I said, if a group of us do it together, if a lot of us do it together, especially those of us who are supporting, Black and brown women, running for office, or Black and brown people running for office who we think will certainly represent the people and not corporations, represent the people and humanity, and not, be looking for the money, or, or whatever the case may be, or trying to get money, or whatever. And, certainly about empowering and developing our communities, pushing our communities forward. So my challenge is again to invest with a $5 a week donation, or it could be a $20 a month, $25 a month donation into the candidate that you believe in and that you support. So that's my challenge, and that's something that I'm doing, and that's something that the women and men in my life, working women and men in my life that have income, that's something that I'm asking them to do as well. And if we do stuff like that, we can again push our community forward by putting candidates in seats that we believe are deserving and would best represent us.
All right. So we got to move out the way. I got pastors council. I got council of Massachusetts Council Church. I got y'all know this is Zoom season. Come on and Zoom, Zoom, Zoom.
You work more now than we did.
So I got two different Zooms I'm already late for right now.
Yeah.
That I gotta get on. So I gotta move out your way. Same time, same bat station next week, Lord willing, at 9 a.m. every Monday on WTCC, also streaming live right here on
and
the
then at 10
Talbert
a.m.
Swan
is
page.
Beauty and the Beast.
What?
And then at 10 a.m. is Beauty and the Beast. You forgot, it's Beauty and the Beast right now. We at the 10 o'clock show. We not at the 9 a.m. show.
Okay. All right, y'all. So anyway, we got to move out the way. Remember, 11 a.m. on Sunday. And listen, every Wednesday leading up into Resurrection, we started last Wednesday, Pastors Council of Greater Springfield Lenten services are taking place. This Wednesday, it will stream live from the Mission Church Ministries page. Bishop Robert Jones will be the preacher. Then next Wednesday, we'll stream live from Deliverance Center Ministries. Pastor Mark Bayman will be the preacher. On the 24th, it'll stream live from Spring of Hope Church. I will be the preacher. The following week, it will stream live from Mount Zion page, and Dr. Atu White will be the preacher. And then on Good Friday, it will stream from St. John's. There will be several preachers. So leading up into Resurrection Sunday, the Lenten services will be happening every Wednesday night. So check that out. Make your donations. Remember, Pastors Council provides scholarships to young people. And so all of the proceeds are going toward that particular effort. So join us. All right. Listen, moving out your way. Always a pleasure being with you here in the Pioneer Valley and beyond. I'm going to close this out with another piece by my big sister, Rhonda Swan. And until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Say bye, babe.
Bye, everybody.
All right, we out. Deuces.
Thank you for joining us.
I know we hate to admit it, but some good black men do have it hard. The deck we call life has dealt them a really bad card. It's called a trifling sister. Yes, they do exist too. They're the ones who don't appreciate the good things their men do. I'm talking about sisters who stay home because they don't have a job. Their men work hard all day and come home to a mob of her ghetto sister friends sitting around drinking beer. Instead of a kiss, hello, and a how was your day, dear? These sisters have it good. They don't pay a single bill, but they enjoy a lot of luxuries and frills. Yet they won't keep a clean home or do some of the simple things that good men ask so they can feel like kings. And there ain't nothing wrong with making your man feel good, especially when he takes care of home and what's under the hood. I'm talking about those brothers who don't forget birthdays, anniversaries, or other special days. He cooks, cleans, helps with the kids, gets on his knees and prays. Flowers for no special reason, simply just because. Romantic dinners out and all those loving things he does. Brothers who will run you a hot bath and rub you down with oil. Brothers who believe a woman is someone special to spoil. But their woman will cuss them out at the drop of a hat. For no particular reason, just she thinks she's all that. Women who take from their men but are never willing to share. Those little things brothers need to know that you care. A loving and encouraging word of support. Instead of sarcastic comments and a demeaning retort. These women make it bad for the good sisters out here. They make it so brothers see us as people to fear. But good brothers, listen. Just because that sister doesn't know how to treat you right, doesn't mean the rest of us you should be ready to fight. There are plenty of good women who would know what to do if they had a good, loving brother with skills like you. So don't let one or two bad sisters ruin it for us all. When you're ready to be treated right, give a good sister a call.